there with us. Let's rejoin or reconnect again with Chief Robinson Ario. I hope you can hear us now. Chief Ario, can you hear us?
Hear you very clearly. Thank you very much. My apologies for the connection issues. I can hear you clearly.
All right. The Gogo of Warri Kingdom, you are a member of the Coronation Committee of the Olu of Warri, which happened on Saturday. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So tell us exactly how the coronation went. We understand it was jubilation galore as the Olu of Warri, the 21st, was installed on Saturday.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, the word to describe it is electric.
Yes, please go ahead.
So the word to describe it is electric. The attendance, I can tell you, for over 500 years was unprecedented. And as a matter of fact, I can assure you that by the time the videos are out, the reportage is properly done, it would qualify as one of the biggest carnivals of all time. I am elated, I'm proud, happy, and I'm sure that all sons and daughters of Warri Kingdom across the globe are equally happy. I can only tell you that I have the goose and of joy all around me.
Okay, so go ahead.
All right. Okay, tell us. There's so much about the tradition that was on display on Saturday, but let's go back history lane. Tell us about the history briefly of the Warri Kingdom. Of course, the royalty, the monarchy itself. Give us a background to that.
Now, history has it that the monarchy was established in 1480 AD. And as of today, we now have the 21st Olu of Warri. What that means is that we have had 20 Olu of Warri before the present one. This is the 21st. Now, one interesting thing about this kingdom, as you can see from the dates, is that it's one of the oldest known to history. Now, prior to the establishment of the monarchy by Ginwa I, the son of Olu of Benin Kingdom, there were some communities that were on the ground, the Aboriginal communities, 5 of them in number, all of which migrated from Yoruba land. Now, upon the arrival of Ginwa I, in his entourage, in his royal entourage, were 70 chiefs. Now, miraculously, he was accepted by the people and absorbed into what is today known as Warri Kingdom. And so you can say that there are 3 ethnic and linguistic components of Warri Kingdom or the Shekiri nation, namely the Yoruba component, the Benin component, which is the monarchical part of it, and the Aboriginal Shekiri component. Now, the uniqueness of the current Olu of Warri is that he is a confluence of all these 3 elements. His wife, who is the Olori, is of Benin origin. Now, his mother, who is the Iyalba, is of Yoruba origin. And his father, who remains Atuashe II, is of Ishekiri component. Now, this is the first time in the over 500 years history of Warri Kingdom that you are having such a... And just like His Majesty said in his address, it is a rare confluence of events.
Chief Ario,
Hello?
Chief Ario, it's a beautiful description that you've made. I mean, the complex, lineage which the current Olu of Warri has. But that itself almost presented a situation of conflict before the coronation, which we've seen now. How was that resolved?
Well, you see, when you have a throne as precious as this, in contrast with some other kingdoms that are just 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, we are talking about a kingdom that is over 500 years old. So it is like a jewel which everybody wants to grab. Now, the truth of the matter is that in an attempt for people to establish their own personal interests, the existing procedure for succession was interpreted in different ways as to ensure that the current Olu of Warri did not emerge. And if we understand the way custom and tradition works, we all know, history tells us that prior to the arrival of the Europeans to Nigeria, Nigeria had existed for tens of centuries, with each nation, by nation I mean collectivities like Yoruba, Hausa Fulani, Igbo, Ishekiri, and all others existing with established custom, tradition, and practices. Now, recently, only in recent history, as recent as 1979, the effort was made by the government because, as we all know, customary law is unwritten. It's characteristically unwritten. So the government tried to codify, to make it more certain, to codify these practices. So a law was made under the military era called the Traditional Rulers Edict of 1979. Section 8 of that edict empowers the people to document the procedure for succession, and that is for all the tribes in the old Bendel State. Now, for Ishekiri, the declaration which they are referring to was made. And eventually, the construction contained in that declaration, as per the requirement to assume the throne, included that the candidate father must be of Ishekiri,
and the mother.
And the mother must either be Ishekiri or of Edo origin. For a very long time, that particular part of the declaration was interpreted to mean that the mother must be Benin, failing to interpret it the way it was there of Edo origin. And so, because the mother of the current king is of Yoruba origin, a very shallow interpretation was given to it by those who did not want this king to emerge, to mean that since the mother is Yoruba and not Benin, therefore he is not qualified to assume the position. But a proper interpretation of the custom and tradition, as all first-year law students know, when a custom and tradition is repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience, it is always not applied. In other words, that a practice is a customary law is not sufficient. Even if it was what was done yesterday, it's not sufficient to make it something or a practice that you will enforce. It must first pass that test of not being repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience. And now, a few minutes ago, I told you that there are three components that form the Warri Kingdom, the Warri nation. Ethnic components, Yoruba, Benin, and original Shekiri. Now, there's absolutely no way that the law will interpret this instrument as to exclude one of those components. Now, when we talk about discrimination in this sense, we are not talking about discrimination generally. We are talking about discrimination as it relates to the aboriginal founders of the land. Like I said, prior to when the monarchy arrived from Benin, those from Yoruba land had already arrived and settled. So Benin came to meet Yoruba.
All right,
so
Chief.
The argument has been, hello?
Chief Ario.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's a long history, and we may not have time to take all of that. But let's look at some other issues. We've gotten the grasp of what you're trying to explain. Now, King Atuashe III is arguably one of the youngest in history to sit on that throne. Am I right?
Yes.
All right. So that means that his youthful age will bring the much needed vibrancy, youthful energy, and zeal into the kingdom. We saw that, already playing out during his opening speech of acceptance after coronation, in which he tried to reverse the course that was said to have been placed on the land by his forefathers or his grandfather. Could you lead us into that? What was that course all about? And was that pronouncement enough to renounce or to rather reverse that course?
Well, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a step, they say. Now, the course that he reversed was that during the particular king's tenure, he was, as a result of political disagreements, I'm not talking about traditional politics, I'm talking about modern policies, the policies between Action Group and NCLC at that time. And because he was not amenable to the party of the day, he had to be sent out from the kingdom to Ogbese in Ondo State unjustifiably. And, the events that followed vindicated the king. And eventually, he was returned. Upon his return, he met with his brother, the Oba of Benin then, and narrated his ordeal, which was most unjust on his person and inflicted untold hardship on the family and indeed the kingdom. It desecrated the essence of the throne. And so, due to that and the grievance, both kings laid a curse on the land for the sake of what the government unjustifiably did to the land. And that curse, history never recorded that it was reversed. Now, upon assumption on the throne, because the throne is sovereign, it's a powerful tool. And it is significant that one of the pronouncements he made, he didn't make that pronouncement as a human being, he made that pronouncement as a representative of our ancestors, because he is just not an ordinary human being anymore. He is a king. And so, if a king does lay a curse on the land, it will take a king also to losing curse. And therefore, the first step, naturally, will be for the Olu of Warri occupying that throne, sitting on that throne as king, to untie the knots, and then perhaps go to his brother in Benin, because it was a joint cause. Go to his brother in Benin, Ewa the First, to also do the same thing. And that's why I said that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. He has taken the bold step. And perhaps, who knows, if that is the reason that the Niger Delta has been passing through all the turmoils that it has been passing through. Because as we know, the voice of the people is the voice of God. And it is good and welcoming. It suits my heart that this has happened at a time when I am a granular player in the scheme of events. So I say that indeed, it's a good step, it's a milestone. It will help to propel the next stage, which is getting the Oba of Benin to simultaneously do so. Because the occupant of the seat exercises the right of the previous occupant of that seat. For instance, if the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the last tenure did something and he is no longer in office, the next president that comes has the statutory power and all it takes to undo what has been done.
All right, Chief.
Yeah.
Chief Robinson Ario, want to say thank you so much for giving us such interesting historical perspective to the Warri Kingdom, of course, the ascension to the throne of the new Olu of Warri. You were a member of the Coronation Committee. What has been regarded quite a successful coronation event that held on Saturday. Thank you so much for your time with us on Kakaki, the African Voice.
And the ability to surmount all those challenges, you know, those tussles to that throne was unprecedented. All right, congratulations to the Olu of Warri, Atuashe the third. That's how we wrap up the show for this Monday, and we thank you so much for investing your time with us since we started at 6 a.m. Please stay with us and join us again on Tuesday. My name remains colleague Omaodu.
I am Otubo Moran on behalf of the entire production crew. I'll see you on Tuesday.